Everyone is doing well. Testing. Testing. You're testing again now that the computer's unmuted. There we go. Hurry up and load, you damn game. And I started to talk to him about everything. Fate Barney, you look as if you require my counsel. Wish to speak about matters of law. Then you're well situated, for my court is the legal heart of the corrupt and uncivilized realm. This. I wish to discuss Kyrus' peace. Peace guarantees to all willing supplicants under the Overlord's authority is a place in her world. The exact wording of the bylaw is your life is not yours to discard. The Overlord has plans for you. This extends to several spheres of influence. Among others, it grants protection to enemies who surrender in times of war, and it forbids suicide. Dispense with the Overlord's vassal and property is prohibited. It's not forbidden to cross one's tongue with Kyrus' name, but who is you want to use caution and respect. The Overlord's name is not yours to give, whether to progeny, product, location, or abstraction. Slander of the Overlord is punishable by death. There's only one Kyrus, and her name is safeguarded. No one may say Kyrus and have it executed by a second meeting. The old laws are forbidden, as their contents and their innocence. Owning any item from the old laws is considered trespass, regardless of how it came into your possession. Mind that, of course, of your travels. The old law extends across much of the tiers in the Northern Empire alike. Kyrus prevents her servants to pass only where she has scoped the landscape to traverse. Under no circumstances are you to enter a breach of the old walls, even for a task as innocent as crossing to the other side. Magician's folly. Practitioners of the arcane arts must be sanctioned by one of Kyrus' guilds, just as the blood chanters are forge bound. Rogue magicians of the tenuous grasp of unknown powers will not be tolerated. Head lowers the gaze to the ground, thumbing the cords of her bandolier in a thinly veiled attempt to appear uninvolved in the discussion. Your orphan mage there is covered by the aegis of the Blood Chanter's Guild. You consign the elders of the school to their fate. All of her tradition are now, in the eyes of the law, Blood Chanters. Diplomatic immunity, and all it cost me was my dignity. So I'm a Blood Chanter in the eyes of the law. Just salt the wounds, why don't you? As a sanctioned mage, whose spellcasting causes damage to life or property is lawfully deemed innocent. As long as they practice their arts in the service of Kyrus, all is forgiven. Quotas and sharing. The harvest blooms and blights by the will of Kyrus. Times of lean, you'll be fed. Times of wealth, you'll feed others. The law is a sizable category unto itself, serving many needs at once. Trade and tax being only two examples. The broadest extent of the law is to empower Kyrus' subject to care for their neighbor and expect care in return. You might take note of the law's application to the trade. Merchants' right to peddle their wares is defined by permits and granted annually. The regional authority has the right to decide if a merchant sells cabbage but 1 year and sandals the next. Anyone breaking through the restrictions is subject to immediate forfeiture of all assets. Kyrus herself set the standards of what cannot be known. These restrictions are rarely enforced. They are worth taking into account. During the war, for example, Kyrus deemed the knowledge of the unsettled taboo. No one may possess the wisdom of that fallen repository, save Kyrus herself. For the protection of her subjects, before the coming of Kyrus, during this age of anarchy and discord, powerful knowledge and undeserving lands leveled empires without thought or mercy. Kyrus has no desire to visit those dark times. That should not be in question. We are all subject of Kyrus, her law defines and regulate our wary way of life. That said, as an agent of the law, you're granted more leeway with this than a soldier or a citizen. You may find yourself compelled to commit morally questionable acts in the name of Kairos. In service of court's justice, much may be forgiven. The rules don't apply to you as long as you're enforce them or someone else. I want your job. If the court finds any of your actions suspect, we will summon you to answer for yourself. Your testimony will be heard and judgment rendered. Tell me about Blood and Mark. He has my headsman and an assassin without equal. His official designation in Kairos' hierarchy is the Archon of Shadows. I wonder that he ever considered himself aught but a slayer of the unjust. Did he earn it? His work away from the court takes Blood and Mark to dark places of the world, the tiers and Northern Empire alike. Over time, Shadows become his dominion. They cloak him, protect him, even fight for him if the need arises. Should I be alone? The question is flawed. We are all servants of Kairos. The Archons are also agents of their own interests. Those chosen few empowered to bring orders in the world in accordance with Kairos' peace. In presence, Blood and Mark is my vassal and I his patron. The relationship is not so different than from Graven Ash and Cairn, the fallen Archon, or the horses and rat and his songbird, Siren. Such partnerships and apprenticeships are common. They provide much mutual benefit to the Archons involved, as well as a measure of oversight. Tell me about Kairos. Favor 2. Kairos is our overlord. She ushers us from the brink of chaos with a stern hand and gestures to the way of peace. We are only too eager to follow in her perfect example. How old is Kairos? By reckoning her age upon Tartarus as magnificent, her true span defines measurement by her limited construct of time. It would be a waste to spend our few pitiable years attempting to solve the riddle of his existence. What is your relationship to Kairos? She is my master, and I her dutiful pupil. In this respect, you and I are no different. I have the honor of Kairos' confidence to trust me to enact her law upon the boundless territory of her rule. I am only too grateful to serve. Do you think Kairos' laws are fair? Let me ask you something else. I have no more questions, and be on your way. I have a request from Barrack of the Stone Shields. What does Barrack of the Stone Shields want of the court? He made his displeasure known in a loud enough voice to collapse the tears upon each other. He came to inquire if the forge bound could help remove his armor. If he has become encased in iron, that is none of the court's concern. My forge bound minister occupied crafting weapons for the army. Do not have their focus diverted to liberate one soldier from his raiment. Stone Shield, do that as a favor, not have standards for the upkeep of arms and armor. Not one of your Archon's guiding principles. It is your honor, but I found myself trapped in this junk pile after the edict of Storms hit Stalwart. If you want to blame anyone, it should be Kairos. The educator contemplates the matter in total silence. The moment drags on far longer than you would suspect. It warrants. But Tunon's interest did not abate for a moment. The soldier will remain encased in his armor, eccentric though it may be, and all subjects of Kairos are forbidden to aid in its removal. Magic the likes of which none of us understand has touched the Stone Shield, and will not interfere with the will of Kairos. But I'm trapped. Say nothing. Such is the will of Kairos, the will of the court. You tried. I suppose that counts for something. The educator didn't say anything about me bending my way out of here, at least. Not that trying has ever made it better. Be on your way. I am duty bound to remain civil to you in this vaunted court, but don't push it, traitor. Fatebinder, you're no stranger to Non's court, but I prefer to spend as little time here as possible in spite of these closed eyes, strangely exposed. So much so good of you to join our little family with its voices. We'll make you feel right at home. You'll make our time in tears an interesting one. Of course you will. You gave me something during the conquest, typecast your elders to interrogate. Now I'll give you something in return. Fate bound you return. Tell me about study of the Archons, the past Archons. Rin, the second Archon of Lightning, often struggled to control the power that roiled within him. Severed by a single slip of concentration, he risked an instant electrocution to his touch. So he claimed after killing the first Archon of Water during a diplomatic embrace. You'll find us to be more specific than that, I'm afraid. There is, on last count, slightly more than a handful of us. Universe, mean, brash, and hardy braggart with a fondness for bloodshed. You can utterly be utter and unbearable at times. His justice is fair, even if he skews towards rather extracting and uncompromising punishments at times. Yeah. So, Calio is the finest among us. Her discernment is beyond reproach. She is perhaps Tunan's favorite. She has a mind for suspicion and observation that makes others uneasy. We who operate within the confines of the law have nothing to fear. I have pondered your impulsive nature, affects me constantly. Your sport of the scarlet course only affirms my belief that you're among the more severe and unpredictable members of our office. I've been the ward at the court for as long as I am aware. As a child, I demonstrated wholly perfect recall, and it absorbed all that none of my tutors had to offer. I remember hating all the lectures and wishing I could learn at my pace. Funny how I envied the sages of the tears. They could spend their whole lives reading and never exhaust their library. Can you tell me about the old walls in the Bane? Old walls. We know little enough about the ancient structures save that they predate all historical record. The forbidding ruins that crisscross the tiers and north alike centuries before we raised our cities. The only one old enough to guess is likely Kairos. Met the Bane. The Bane are found in the old walls. Much our defining qualities still escape me. There. They're creatures of smoke, claw, and fang. If you find yourself unfortunate enough to fight one, remember that spells are effective against them. Grab the attention of others lurking near. Now about the tiers. Little entities of the tiers are essentially split between the bastard tier of the younger realms and the free cities of which would you like to know. The bastard tier is the most northern of the tiers and was the first to bow to Kairos' reign. Though the knee they bent fell unwillingly, Kairos had to sign the bastard tier for many years before he marched on her capital city. The younger realms sprawl in the middle of the southernmost tiers and can be cataloged as follows: Apex, Azure, Haven, and Stalwart. Azure was renowned for exceptional fertile land which fed the whole tiers. That was before Kairos' Edict of Stone blighted the land. First free cities. There are 3 free cities remaining: Last Harbor, Spiros Mall, and Barrison Chains. The first and strongest of the free cities was the Setting Sun, which Kairos crushed in 429 with the Edict of Tumult. After that, the remaining free cities were quick to surrender. Sages. I'll not speak of the sages. They are no better than charlatans and cons who are wholly selfish in their ill pursuit of all knowledge from others. They are self-blinded by their own deceptions and clever manipulations. They alone cause their own undoing, are solely to blame for the burning library, one of the most grievous of wrongs in the known histories for which they can never be forgiven. Jesse, I see you return to the fold. Your exploits and vengeance will, matters of some discussion. Has anything happened while I was away? None of it was dispatched to Stalwart to break the stalemate between the locals and this favored. He proclaimed Kairos' Edict of Storms, shuddering the country with winds unending. Didn't know much of my actions. Had you been spying on me? Don't act as surprised. It's my duty to ensure that those who operate in the Adjudicator's name adhere to the spirit of the law, not the very letter. And those who don't will be dealt with swiftly and efficiently at the point of blood and Mark's blade. Of course, that is assuming I don't dispatch them first. I take my duty seriously. I am very good at it. Tunon sends me out assignments here and there. I settle disputes between the locals when the Adjudicator is otherwise occupied. Everything from trade disagreements to pushing course squatters out of basements. Real rewarding work. No more about Tunon. To honors our overlord's fair and exacting educator. Educator. He speaks with the voice of Carvis's law, and his word is judgment. We cannot crush the opposition with these weak efforts. We are too lenient. Bloodshed and brutality reign supreme. Our armies squabble at each other's throat. Divided, we cannot win. I'm less concerned about the armies than the Archons themselves. There can be no order without when mountains collide. Who would you see as champion? This would be good if I was trying to be equal. The Scarlet Chorus, their ruthlessness will win the war. Strength in numbers? Who could ever hope to stand against the swelling multitude of the chorus? Yet the army moves without tact, kills without thought, marches on half rations at best, and is subject to madness and brilliance in equal measure. Wars have been won with fewer advantages, though I wonder if the Scarlet Chorus is equal to the challenge. Thank you for anyone watching. Tune on favorite one. Ah, Jesse, you return, unscathed and more acclaimed than ever. Seems to be your way. Come, you must regale me with all that your journey has held. I could use a moment of respite between friends. Such as you wished. I pay up war's weight and rings to know what your thoughts. How are you singled out to become a faint biter? Yeah. Cannot speak for the other fated owners, but I joined the court when I was yet still a boy, impetuous beyond reason. I had been imprisoned with a death sentence for the crime of desecrating corpses. Nothing so exciting as you no doubt imagining. It is merely burning corpses that awaited burial. Where the local authority could send me to the gallows, the educator claimed me great talent waiting to be realized, needing only to be steered. Why burn the bodies? Corpses piling in the streets spread plagues faster than the filthiest of rats. I was but 10 and a weak fighter. I did what I could from my homeland. Why was it a crime? There was a time when even the Northmen were superstitious stock. A time before Kairos brought reason to the realms. The people of my city believed that without proper rites, as cheating our fallen warriors from returning to the land. The thing he spared you. So said the educator saw within me something of rare value, and truth for all of us. You as well were chosen for our great court, for which I am grateful. As the fate-binder of war, I rely heavily on your talents. I'm curious about Tunan's masks. They can be rather unsettling, can't they? Even to one such as me, I assure you, the innocent need not fear their objective, motionless gaze. The silent face. Yet, silent face is the face that Tunan shows to us now. For that we are fortunate beyond belief. The silent face is a patient face, the face where listening as Tunan presides over all matters brought to the court, taking great strain and pains to ensure all sides of the issue are heard. Faces resolve. Tunan's last dawning of the face of resolve is the moment he judged and called ruin to half the districts of the bastard city. Since then he has ruled our northern tier justly, calmly, with efficient diplomacy. What to know about the face that is no more. Tunan is said to warn a third mask in aeons past. I've heard rumors that the face displeased Kairos and this was destroyed. This happens to all persons, objects that displease our overlord. The way that you or I would change our arraignment? No, not as such. And yet I have seen the masks shift. They switch without the educator or anyone so much as laying a hand on them. It's not something you can watch unfold. After a time, merely realize it has already happened. Can you remind me about the history and the origins of the Fate Binders? We are relatively young order, though we have spent these past 2 centuries while the voices around and Raven Ash need armies to execute their will. Tunan wields but a modest court of vassals. We exist as the extension of his law. There's no place in all of Tartarus beyond our judgment. Tell me more about Kairos' armies. With friends like these, our work itself is self-explanatory. His favored are the iron tips of Kairos' great flanks, armed with the best weapons and most comprehensive training. And by the brilliant Graven Ash, this favored has no equals in open battle. Legion, as I sang, Graven Ash protects. It's no empty boast. The Archon of War is able to lend his will and strength to his soldiers and give them endurance beyond human limits. I have great respect for this favored, but I know where I stand with them. They are a very close-knit band, all of them from northern families, many of them related to each other. But concerning our role in the great hierarchy, I can't fault General Asher for being selective. Historic Corps soldiers hail from every corner of every realm. As the Corps marches and conscripts indiscriminately from those it has conquered to replenish its ranks. No continuity command in the Corps, nor allows encourages even the strong to challenge their leaders. The Corps has numbers, and brute force is almost as always a viable solution, much as Regulus insists otherwise. Besides, the current Corps draws strength from the multitude that swallow. Its blood enchanters have taken knowledge from various cherished mystics. Many of the Corps' best soldiers were grown here in the south. Okay. Time for me to leave. I'll start to get a little dry. Welcome back, kid. Amusing as it would have been to watch the edict dropped, I guess I'm glad you lived. Arcana shadows roses from a faraway stare, turning face to face with a wry smile. Though he stands still, he seems to sift in and out of the shadows. As I gained wrath with him, I lost favor and gained wrath. Not many mortals to win a war. And any mortals to win a war. Gain minor wrath, guard corners, gain average favor. His court would disagree with you there. People spread and blade eating the light of his eyes. He stares at you with his eyes of darkness, his shadow-shrouded face, and his expression is not pleased. He blinks and the emotion is past. His golden iris is once more glowering, dimpling back at you. I imagine you're off to meet with the voices for whatever that he has in mind. First, you and I need to have a little chat. I'm listening. Everyone's keeping an eye on you, but because you did something nobody has done before, gotta guess what that might be. I'm the first fate bounder to awaken a spire of the old walls. You're not wrong. That was definitely a shock. I doubt says the sole reason you made the tears tremble. Proclaiming an edict isn't new, neither is surviving or resolving the commandments. But you're the first to proclaim and resolve the very same edict that it didn't kill you. One fell swoop you survived, and your second edict resolved the very one you had proclaimed, awoke an arcane struck that had slept for centuries. Why share it? Now I got your short. Why should I care about any of this?
Kairos only knows if you should, but others will hear of what you've done, and they'll assume it's important. They could come to see you as a rival for the Overlord's attention, and seek to remedy the problem of your rising.
I don't care what you do with the information, but you should know the danger in it now. That you put yourself on the map. When you're dealing with the voices, don't forget he'll be doing everything he can to figure out what makes you different, and how he can use it for his own favor. But there's still much I want to ask you. Not now. Try me somewhere with fewer prying eyes and listening ears. Till the next.
Sorry, I can't.
I'm going to go here. I have a quest here. On the list of the court's chosen. Been seeing much of my time. It's probably best everyone assumes I'm old, harmless, and worth shuffling away in the archives. If I were scrutinized too closely, I'm sure Tonan would find him grown lax in his spoiled old age. Part of why I'm here is that I've kept my head down. You appear to be doing the opposite in some regards. It's beyond your control. You're chosen for the honor of proclaiming Kyrus's edicts twice. To decline would have been death, but to accept needs to be placed on the edge for all to see. Kyrus's most powerful weapon is not the edict. It's your ability to hand us rope that we are willing to use to hang ourselves. Never forget this. There are numerous questions nestled in your request. What do you wish to know most? Focus your inquiry and I will answer the best I can. Ask about the spires. Dear Morpheus, it seems wise to know one stone owned domain. And you saying as I'm now the master of the mountain spire, I ought to know that I can. If you want to share some of what you know share with me what you know of the spires, so it would be in your debt. Start with what I know and observed so far. The mountain spire seemed to awaken up about the same instant that Kyrus' edict of execution was put to rest. It was a burst of arcane energy that drowned my senses, and I woke at the summit of the spire. Top of the spire is an old sculpture of sorts. Seems to be the core of the spire of mystic's energy. Been seeing visions and receiving sensations from the sculpture. Seems odd to describe as it's talking to me. That seems the closest to now. Am I the first to report such things? There are other spires elsewhere in the world. Send it. One day remaining. Its power. I'm gonna head here.
A second spire has awoken to your presence. This is fascinating. I've been mulling over that structure we found atop Vendrian's well. Would you be I'd perhaps work a spell or two near the structure. simple cantrips of grave light by which to read and inspect, but I will not poke or shove the thing in any way physical or mystical. Understood. And I shouldn't need to deface or harm any. What is it you need?
What do you need?
Come on, let's get over here. I thought I have him moving over here already. Sand sitting here. Kinda wish I had started playing Stardew Valley instead. Not Saturn never arrived, Zolan. At least that's what my mother was said, since she knew what she was talking about. You must be the one that everyone was talking about, Tunon's fate blunder, right? We could have used your help when Carlos' forces tried to take Alliance's crossing, though I suppose you would have been fighting on their side, wouldn't you? But the Brotherhood overcame, and now we're saddled with their continual leadership. Those are our worst fates. But you'd be 12 feet tall and shoot fire from your mouth. Yeah, for my prattling. You didn't come here for a history lesson to get my opinion on your grandeur. Adjutant sent you for the Archon of Song, I assume. What would that be about the Archon? It's here in the Songbird. Just like half the town, she got moving. Felt like half the town she got moving over her in that hovel near the river. On the first tier if you want to find her. Feel free to take her with you when you go. But seeing as you're not here for her, what can I do for you? I'm reading this to myself right now.
Sorry.
I had to figure something out. Something that task we were given to find out. Find out exactly why these shipments were delayed going to that well area. I don't see as an option here. To the sanctuary. See if she's in there.
Well, look who's here. And what brings you to Lethean's Crossing? Can't imagine it's the scenery or the quaint locals. Have you come to spoil my fun? Tunon probably insisted you find me, didn't he? Because we can't let Siren have any fun, can we? Let's control her. Let's tell her what she can and can't do. Let's use her to destroy nations. But enough of that talk. What do you think of my followers?
Yeah, since she's part of the Scarlet Chorus, I'm gonna try to gain her loyalty.
Oh, stop that, Fatebinder. It's not like I'm hurting anyone. Well, at least not yet.
Enough of Siren, I want you to join me. Someone with your power needs help directing it.
Why on earth would you want that? I can't imagine you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. Oh, Tunon must have had a hand in this. Or no. Although, you did activate one of the spires, so your power is something I could learn from, and watching you in action could give me the edge I need to unlock a spire of my own. Fine. Well then, let's go. If you're gonna teach me the wonders of the world, it's not gonna happen here.
I'll tack homeward. See you there.
Prize, no. Disappointment, yes. The Archon's decision changes nothing. I have reserved him to this point. I continue to do so for the sake of the general ash in the north. There may be another way. The Master is very specific in his sentence. We raid not only assistance from the Forge Bound, but from anyone else in this world. No, the Archon forbade any subject of Kairos to aid you. Split hairs, Binder. Tell the worldmen's need to Kairos. If that were the case, you wouldn't be in the tears, would we? You're not suggesting we ask some renegade for a mage raid. Which discard the spirit of the long for this in favor. Trust me, Brick, it's the letter of the law that matters. Not to me, the honor of deed lies much in the spirit as in his action. Oh, you sweet, sad, silly little boy. Perhaps another way to free you will present itself then. Your optimism does you credit. The Forge Bound will be curious about you regardless. The articulation on your armor is incredible. At the very least, we should let them take a look at you. My armor is unique. Perhaps we can teach them something about level 8 that is favored. Finds the Forge Bound with their smithy in the Lethean's Crossing. One guy I expelled on the Forge Bound isn't a Forge Bound anymore. Have to find where he is. See how this goes up here.
Have a look here.
Could you tell me something about the seal? I've seen this before. You should ask one of the other merchants.
Can't do that. Can't do that.
I'd like to free my friend from his armor. I'd like you to examine him. The action not issue an action against parsley or action indeed. He sends a decision by birth to teach to each of the guild's workshops. Merely come over. That's not exactly against the educator decree, is it? Let me state this now in certain terms. Let's see. I don't suppose you know any skilled smith who lack your ironclad sense of loyalty. You asked me to be an accomplice to your crime. There may be some individual who can help you. Rumor has it that there's a mage smith of some manor in the Stone Sea. I appreciate it, Lahora. Goodbye, Famefinder. As far as I'm concerned, this conversation never occurred. Go here to the market. Merchant Helena. Can you tell me anything about the seal? Come on, damn it. Hello, can you see oven cannon? Sorry, someone else might know. That's a mistake, friend. You won't find lower prices anywhere. You see the flash of light from the spire? Where did you get that? Came from a merchant caravan that was ransacked. Suspected as much, so how far off the normal trading floats. But why now? Tell me more about Hand Over Quill. They say once powerful trade organization that, well, I should say you don't want to get between them in a contract Tunan's new laws in Bastard City, the quilt sunk into the shadows of Karis' authority, trying to keep a lower profile. The shipment of iron and weapons went missing and was found with this seal in a warehouse in Echo Hall Crossing. Suspicious, I agree, but war has its little problems. It doesn't add up. No. The weapons were meant for the disfavored, and the Vengeance Guard suddenly had iron weapons. Vengeance Guard, well, that changes things, I suppose. Damn it. I don't have either of those right now. Damn it.
Sorry, I can't.
Time to go.
What is it you need? Of course. It's about...
I will meet you at the spire.
So, your latest acquisition has me thinking about the spires some more. By all accounts, they go as far back as the old walls. Over the centuries, the nobles of the tiers have claimed the spires. But I've never seen the glyphs of a spire light up in all my years. Not until you show up. If this were an isolated incident, I'd be confused. My mind is going back to Ascension Hall. I wonder if Graven Ash or Narot had claimed it as their own, would the spire come alive for either of them the way it did for you? Ah, such a clever child. I can't imagine the Overlord would ever carelessly word an edict. You are right. There are other spires, and I've heard of notable figures trying to build monuments atop or astride the spires. But if you're asking if Kairos built them or controls them, no. They predate all mention of Kairos, but it occurs to
Good day, Fatebinder. What do you need? What do you need?
What is it you need?
I can't shoot anything else here.
Good day, Fatebinder. What do you need? Well then, let's go.
I'll tack homeward. See you there.
Head to the secluded ford. See, there's two things here. I think that's supposed to be the bastard tier one, and this maybe supposed to be the Stone Sea one.
Right.
Oh, fuck me. The Fatebinder. What brings you to my temple altar? I take it you know me. Who are you? You sought me out, I assumed you knew already. Or do you make a habit of walking to strangers' houses? Nice forge. Thanks, I made it myself. Just I found all the heat wards. Not just accounted for the comfort. Keeps the place from going up flames, sparing anything unusual, with the thought after it. At the Valium Citadel. Are you a sage? Is anyone anymore? I heard the school burning up. Studied among the sages years ago. Worked for the royalty of Azura after that. Nice work until Karen arrived. You going to prosecute me? It depends on how helpful you are. Need to examine my friend Barrack. This one, I assume, is pointy.
Mostly on top of his head.
Must you always be an ass, Verse?
As we said back in Ass Gang, once an ass, always an ass.
Damn it, Fatebinder, why can't you leave this be?
After he might free Beric of this bronze and iron prison.
Fatebinder, you know as well as I that Tunon forbade this.
Oh, just what will you do? Sit on the floor and cross your arms like a child?
If I must. If that will make the Fatebinder see reason.
I promise you this will be for the best, friend. Let me deal with the legal ramifications.
I have little confidence that Tunon will see it the same way.
So you want to come out of your with all your bits regardless? Right. Then hold still and quiet down. For anything else, I need to ask you a few questions. Ask away. Won't ask anything political or tactical. You're sure. First, have you ever engaged in sexual congress? I don't. How can that can't be relevant? It's important, Beric, particularly in the case of possible congruence of arcane energies to resonant adulteration. Suppose that sounds reasonable. Your army has prevented anything from happening recently, regardless of whether or not it wanted it to. For that, well, the Legion has spent a couple people I care for deeply. We're the pride of the North, strong and beautiful. They get it, Beric, sparring like dancing. It gets pretty hot. Do not compare the virtuous combat rituals of this favor to your scarlet running. So I shall speak of. I've never passed time with a mage, or a kind of oath-bound beast woman, or anything else unusual. Nothing unusual. I was heard there are special bombs in his favorite officer, and there's some as a sorry subordinates. Is there anything else you're unwilling to sully with your perversion, witch? You wore forge-bound armor during the conquest, correct? Prior to it? Was it sigil woven, enchanted against harm? I would not believe so. It was iron. Have you had sigils of any kind branded in your skin? The mark of this favorite? You know, sigil, or that whatever the Overlord's decree allows. Many members of the Legion scar themselves with it, binding their loyalty into their flesh and blood. Marks us as family. Pray that the Grand Ash protects. The sages had no dark knowledge of the Karakan's war abilities. There are many theories. I don't suppose you can provide any concrete information. Archon Ash shares a strong connection with his soldiers. It allows him to take on some of their harm while also sharing in their experience. Fatebinder. You do not need repairs or maintenance on the armor, I presume? Aside from oiling it and filing down the point of your bits, no. Wait, how did you know that? What am I supposed to do with this? Take it to start with. Take it. Next you'll want to stick the antidote through his armor. It's going to hurt regardless. Stab Beric. Are you insane? Perhaps a little. Comes with having everything you know wiped out from the face of Tartarus with few magic words from a distant tyrant. Stab him. Howling angrily, Beric staggers backwards, grasping at his side. The smell of burnt flesh hits your nostrils a moment later. Reaching down, Lysandra grabs the iron rod and tugs it from Beric's side. Eliciting another scream of pain, she takes a step back from his wings in a wild attempt to backhand her. Fucking shit on Elstared beast, mother of asses. Wasn't that necessary? Of course it was not fucking necessary. I did not ask for this. Amazing. Examine the wound. You've been closed, but Merrick climbed over the hole and sat inside. Move Beric's hand. The grout on his left, Beric gradually allowed you to shift his hand out of the way. You peer through the hole in the oxidized bronze and iron shell. Welling yourself to ignore the mixing smells of cooked meat and fetid human flesh, you see the ragged, oozing flesh beneath, a gasping red cavity pulsing in time with Beric's labored breath. And as you watch, the wound seems to close, bronze-colored skin knitting together at the edges, slowly closing mouth. Not merely skin, however. Beric's armor cage slowly shifts and flows, incrementally reducing the aperture. His armor seems to be healing, just like his flesh, exactly in the edges. Your armor and flesh are heals one. Is that a standard property among the disfavored? If he and his armor heals one, they're likely mystically bound together. Indeed, Tunon likes him smart. Taking the question remains though, why does this happen? I have a working theory, but I can't make out what the difference between you and others favored who served in the Blade Grade. Maybe some trick of the blood. Maybe it's your connection to the Fate Binder. Maybe something else. But I barely knew the Fate Binder prior to entering as well. Choose your words carefully, Smith. And apologies, Fate Binder. Before I can suggest a solution, I'll need a sample of alloyed iron and bronze for the side of your entrapment. About this much should do. Can't you guess count that much off a barrack? Fate Binder. No, I'm afraid. Even a barrack here we're disposed to the idea. I am not. Need a sample as the point of comparison. Taking it from him would be meaningless. I'll consider bringing it to you. Then I'll wait your return. I'm gonna save this first. Take you 3 days to complete your journey. I kind of want to wait just in case I end up getting sent here, because eventually I'm gonna have to go there anyway. Head to here. The only formed path isn't easy, and with sudden accidents and even footing prove tiresome. A crumbling rock and loose dirt makes your perilous travel. Deep shadows cast by the pillar above you blink at the path, making your visibility worse than expected. Suddenly, the path in front of you ends a 15-foot gap, separating you from the walkable ground on the opposite side. If you're at the edge, you can only see a dark expanse beneath you. Above you, you see a small rocky shelf with a tree bursting from its side. 10th floor. Climb on the shelf. 10th floor. Use a pickaxe to carve your own path. Loose dirt and crumbling rock are plentiful here. The pickaxe in hand, you strike the side of the plateau, chipping away steadily. A few minutes of work, you remove enough material to expose a rocky step. You place one foot upon it. Test its stability, and thankfully it holds. Continue the process, lifting dirt and stone out of the way from one step after another. It's painstaking work. Before you know it, you're safely across to the other side. Continue onward, working your way through the rest of the steep path. The ledge beneath you tilts upward, and you slowly make your way out of the shadow to chasm back into the wide expanse of mercilessly conventional stone pillar, where you're able to traverse across far more than forgiving terrain. An encounter. Where can I find the forces of Nerat? What can you tell me about the canopy? Let's see what's up here.
Affirmative.
See what's up here. He's a vile arson. Well, Nash Nails right. As our weak, she's earned a right to these swallows. Most of all for the abuse arson heaped on her arse over the years. Why is that? Yeah, I'll hear your plea if everyone is in agreement with my involvement. I certainly am. Would like to settle this and put it behind us. I'm also interested in the fight Bender's ruling. In an outsider way, surely, then you'd see the greater weight of my contributions. I already decided to give him up my share. I just wanted the bastard dead. Go on, but I should tell you now. I'll know if you try to lie to me. Right then, I guess I'll start us off. We all got tired of getting cut and watching him torture Niels. So when Requiem suggested the plan, I was eager to lure him into a trap. She glanced around and speaks a little softly as she continues. Had to use my finest hooch. I brewed it in a bronze boot I found on the battlefield. After a couple hours, I had him nice and relaxed, stripped of his armor and distracted him after that. That's when I snuck out from under the straw bedding. Arson never did anything. Eat, sleep, or shit without a weapon. So he'd hobble him enough that I was able to hack him to ribbons. Eventually, he started crawling for the flap of the tent, where Requiem had stationed me. I slit Arson throat and ended, dismembered his body, and spent the night scattering his bits between the fighting tiller trains and the cell-waiting beastmen. It's bloody and long work, but it's damn worth it. I just stood and watched a few tents down. Sure, someone heard the screams, but no one came running. You seem equally satisfied with the outcome of the events. Why are you fighting over the goods then? Guess it's just our nature. We don't take what we can when we can get it. We'll never get ahead. Who would lead you in vile Arson's absence? Requiem. She saved us. Requiem. I'd follow these girls from the screaming jaws of death. If they ask me to, I don't care which one's leading us when we get there. Come on, Fatebinder, the weight's killing. What's your call? Goods are to split evenly 4 ways. This is the most fair and excellent resolution to your dispute. None of you are entitled to the wealth. You'll destroy the cash. Majority of the shares will go to Nash and Nils and her compensation for the crime she suffered at the hands of the vile Arson, which reportedly motivated its death. The rest will be split evenly amongst you. Scarlet Horse gain average favor. Battered petite girl starts and sputters. Me? Really? But I... Hush, Nils. It's good and fair rule. If I can't get my full share, I see it go to Nils. got no complaint with it. Take what you're owed, Nils. Here's to hoping she buys some more capable gear before someone kills her for those rings. Greetings, Jesse. You're correct. There are spires all across Terratus. The exact distribution of these monuments fuels all sorts of debate and speculation. Two facts seem commonplace. Most spires are built near old walls. Yours mountain spires and noticeable exception. Nearly every culture that predates Kairos has some local myth to explain the builders of these spires. I believe that Tyr has been called the site the Older Realms. It's their local name for the spire/old wall architects, but nobody knows for sure. Of course, when Kairos had brought props of civilization, the origin of the spires simply isn't discussed in good company. Here's what I think you need to know. First, the spires behave as arcane lodestone. There's a constant field of magical strength around a spire. If you imagine a mystic sea resting on the top of our world, the spires seem to spend and churn this magic, creating a spellcaster. Even the modest effort will materialize with powerful results. Second, I'd say most tellingly, Kairos has laws against entering the old walls. There are no laws against the spires. You could infer from this that means Kairos has no issue with the lay folks messing around the spires, but wishes to keep us safe from the old walls. We could think like an overlord and know that if you place a rule against something, you'll make it forbidden and desirable. I find the telling that Kairos forbids the hallways that leads to the spires, but does not appear to target on the spires themselves. Last but not least, is a young Fatebinder. Wants to oversee the case of a man who built a shrine to Kairos from the base of a spire in the southeast. Can find no evidence of falsity or slander. His shrine is the most reverent, loving tribute as I've ever seen. One point, though, the man claimed he had evidence that Kairos was here back in -50. He had merely uttered those words, and my senior binding swung the axe then and there. When the new girl to court, I said nothing. I have long wondered why such a comment should require death instead of traditional removal of the tongue. Demetrius, thank you for hearing me out. I have more questions than I have ink, but let's start with the discussion of Kairos' edicts. The Lavender proclaimed resolved edicts, which makes me far knowledgeable than the layperson on the subject, and yet I still know so little. Okay.
Affirmative.
Let's head to the marketplace. Let's see what's over here. I'll take both of those. Might be materialism, but we're loyal to Kairos. The chorus isn't open cattle to any turncoat who's sharpened weapon and just a pair of boots. Toss them in the pit, boss. I'll donate a share of the proceeds to you. Capsules will go to screw up Fury's aid with strategic military operations. Capsules will fight in the pits to ensure a survivor is traditionally initiated into the chorus. I'm gonna go with what they usually do. Capsules will fight in the pits to ensure that survivors traditionally initiated into the chorus. Thought you might see it our way, boss. Tradition's a fine thing. After all, it keeps society moving. Strong will ever rise to the top, and the weakness will be forgotten. Should be no other way.
I got it.
Like that. Well, looks like cheese. Heavy leather helmet. Can I wear that? Oh shit. Hope everyone can hear me pretty well.
Can't do that.
Head over here now. Alright, now I'm in the Scarlet Chorus camp. Save it before I head across there. Ah crap, I just realized I didn't change the name of the title of the stream. See what that guy says, 7 toes. Maybe I want to keep him waiting.
Sorry, I can't.
Regards you with an unreadable expression. Fate Bonder, with a less pleasant surprise, we are observing the mound of insects and comparing to the siege of Inran's well. This particularly fat beetle under thumb represents Graven Ash. Doesn't he squirm beautifully? As of proclaiming and resolving the same edict weren't impressive enough, you found the territory to reject Graven Ash and report our right to conquer these lands. You deserve a just reward when this is over, but it's too early to congratulate ourselves, while there's plenty of war still to fight. Our songbird, how are you, dear? Been so long since you visited Canopy. Cacophone, however the hell you say it. Might be able to get inside that head of yours. Uncle, I'm more than capable of turning this camp against you. It might cost me my life. But if it kept you from touching me, it would be worth it. Step back or our union will be blood-soaked. We look forward to catching up in time. You always fall out the Fate Binder's heels, will you, dearest? What's your plan? I'd like to ask you about your power. You're a remarkable person. We must concede to your flattery, but we can't boast everything is incredible. They say you're an interrogator without equal. Oh, all full of secrets. Can't be expected to share them with the ordering masses. We're certain that you have a few of your own and want them brought to light. We do so with such a flatterer, don't we? What kind of way here there is enough to melt the coldest heart, of which we have several. Are you sure you want to know what you're suggesting? It's your funeral, not that they'll find a body. Teach you impudent, ambitious little morsel. Your lessons come at a steep price. What happens after you interrogate someone? If you want to know, frame better, let me make one thing clear. No matter how it starts, it always ends the same way, with a horrible death. It's a transcendent experience. The subject and I grow to entrust, depend upon each other, even love each other. We have long since learned that the pain and intensity of our conversation make us strange bedfellows. Applied together, anything can happen. You ever try to absorb another Archon? Amuses to knowing that you bring that up. A brave question, full of meaning and questions of challenge. Yeah, an occasion to execute. We've had an occasion to execute an Archon or two when blood and mark was unavailable. It's all within the limits of the law, you understand. Someone gets an inflated sense of self-importance, decides to start their own small empire. We step forward to volunteer our services. Appearance was always less fulfilling than we had hoped. Their personalities have come to us, but none of their power. A waste of potential. What a question. We know many things beyond the purview of the disgusting farmers and merchants you'll find outside our vaunted stronghold. Much more than any of them could learn in 100 lifetimes. You know as much as we do. This much will soon become obvious. How do you imagine an army as vast as the Scarlet Course? They manage themselves, of course. Men and women rise to the ranks and become gang bosses. When they take too many wounds, or their swords grew too heavy, another boss claims their rightful place. All years we never granted a promotion. Conscripts and slaves were free to elevate their rank or make ranks to go. The only condition is that they have strength to defend the spot they carve out for themselves. Tell me the Scarlet Course. Tell me about the history. Why wouldn't you be? Rest a spell and let our words wriggle among the chaos of your imagination. Greatest uninformed think of the Scarlet Course as one of Kyros's many armies. In fact, they are a personal force. Beginning in the early stages of our power, we cobbled together a rabble of miscreants from freshly conquered territories. The Scarlet Course has always been dredged from the bottom feeders. Then there are the camp followers who skulk in a long shadow. Kyros forged the rest of the greatest empire. We are used to substitute any lingering resistance. Those who opposed Kyros's peace joined our howling disharmony and lived, or died, in Kyros's war. A fitting fate, is it not? By the time Kyros set a magnanimous eye on the tears, it was all but assumed the Scarlet Course would lead the vanguard. Though they answer to us, we are happy to loan their services to the Overlord's pleasure. Let's see. Tell me the Scarlet Course's tenets. Oops. Tenet the first. Whatever you claim through sheer force of will is yours for the taking. Those who think us chaotic would spend more time away from the farm, learn what it means to survive. It also means you can kill who you want. Kyros's peace extends to servants of the Empire, but these tiersmen haven't enjoyed the pleasure of our laws yet. Till they do, you can treat them like sport, and not even starchy old Tunon will get offended. Things will get boring real fast when the war is over. Any other rules, you must call them that and fall under the umbrella of that basic philosophy: take what you want, but keep what you take. Why, we're honored that you would ask. We always thought that knives were the friendliest weapon, so eager to meet new people. You really have to appreciate these things. But we suspect that isn't what you want to know. No, it isn't. You're the Archon of Secrets. Call us whatever you want. Stories are a real trick. Take it from us. Everyone has a story. We are all welcome in our Hall of Wonders. I'm actually curious about your history. By all means, then, will you prior secrets from a green flame, or luxuriate in calming ones of our brilliance? I don't wish to steal your secrets, Archon, only to learn from your brilliance. Guards with unreadable expression. Edison, why do you speak of yourself in the plural form? Because it is absolutely insane. Do you need no other reason? That much should be obvious. We are multitudes, an army unto ourselves, a council of shadows, battling to be heard. Where there was once one, now we are many. We are a legion, a stream of consciousness, given shape, will, and attention. We are the voices that interact. Your body, the green flames. Why? We are greater than our confines. No stable form can house our magnificence. No mind can house our intellect. No body can entrap our skill. We are an all-consuming fire, unfixed and resplendent. You are art, gain our favor. But Yes, and you're a receptive audience. You understand us more than many ever will. Tell me of your rise to power. Our youth, we are the youngest scion of House Narat. These would be the early years of Kyrus' reign, if numbers make any difference to your fragile matter. The Northern Empire wasn't the bastion of orders or peace as we know it today. Our gracious overlord contended with the sedition and lawlessness from his subjects, from his enemies, even those from that helpful house of Narat. Yeah. Yes, I'm sure you are also incredibly noble. Let me guess, your father was in debt to 100 brothels, and your mother drugged herself senseless, so she didn't have to deal with looking at you. We'll continue without your commentary, Songbird. Whispers spread as they do. House Narat was never lacked in petty neighbors and bitter rivals. You must remember that those are delicate years for the Overlord. An accusation of treason was damning as treason itself. Something had to be done, before we fell into the shadows of our family's guilt. We did what came naturally, of course. We took the initiative. Before any accusations could fly, we had our family driven to the city square and pillared among the messer of Carlos' unfaithful. Before the shocked eyes of the community, we interrogated them one by one, flaying their skin with tattered knives, putting their loyalty to the test. My father, mother, sisters, aunts, all of them questioned, all of them found guilty. We tortured your own family? We tortured enemies of Kyrus for the safety of the Empire. What city was this? No tongue your ear would recognize. We call it Waterlogged Marsh. You won't find our homeland on maps. That is a story for another time. Were they guilty? We don't remember. You remember choosing to revive, and we remember the sound of skin peeling from the muscle. The rest was formality. It was all a demonstration for the Overlord. This one could be trusted. A message that was gratefully received. Our devotion to Kyrus was the terror and pride of the community. The son of Narat had grown to something greater than our family name. In time, the Archon of Misery heard of our deeds and invited us to a better life. We needed to be cleansed of treachery. If you truly believe so, then you are beginning to think like an Archon. He took it upon himself to be our instructor. He taught us the beauty of agony, and let the knife slide just so. It is white flesh with no mortal wound. How to inflict waking nightmares upon your foe. No more of our clumsy, blood-soaked efforts for spectacle. True torture is a sensory performance, staged for an audience of one. He made us an artist. We are proficient at our work. Our name spread beyond the boundaries of the child's empire. As people whispered it in private, or shrieked in fear. Whole galleries were erected to display our accomplishments, which were studied and attributed by head-scratching scholars. Talent with the blade rope grew so renowned that Kyrus' faithful and unfaithful alike believed we could steal truth from their minds with a little more than a stare. What's your plan? I'm ready to talk strategy. Of course you have questions. We'd be disappointed if you didn't have any. Our first priority is to humiliate that pissbucket Graven Ash. We'll have a better chance once every corner of the tiers is wearing red. Do you see our design, Fatebinder? Does our madness complement our method? How do you expect it? If you can't outfight this favor, you out-recruit them. A conquest by invitation, how very polite. Lieutenant Graven Ash had slashed and burned this whole continent. We must counter this wanton evil as acceptance and tolerance for these poor tearsmen. Conquest is a delicate matter. It needs feeding, watering soft carcasses. Low life before bed. We'll invite the leaders of the resistance to join us. If we have their leaders, the people will follow. You'll bring them to us, yes, chiefs, and the assessment, and the assets of chiefdom. As far as how you factor in these plans, that part is up to you. We have many ingots in the fire. It's more a question of what piques your interests. Document of great power, the silent archive rests in the burning library. The archive is said to hold many secrets, any of which can twist our advantage. Whenever gang bosses, the censor seeks the entrance to this queenly treasure. Aid her in the search and dispatch her back to us with any findings. Tunon's arcane smith set up shop in Leviathan's Crossing. While simple ore dredged from the heart of Tartarus, we can assemble wondrous crafts of iron. Our intellect swells overfull with secrets. Yet we are ignorant of the iron secret. Seek out the forge bound in their master who can now makes for Lothian's Crossing. Have her sent to Caphany. I will guarantee her protection and safeguard her knowledge. Arnesetrus herself needs to be shielded from the perils of war. According to whispers of our spies, a greybeard by the name of Eldian may be able to tell you more. We are nothing that not receptive to the wisdom of ages. What do you know about this edict? Overlord appealed to sages to surrender and accept peace. They turned down their offer. Kara spread fire and devastation to the Valium Citadel, burning the library to its core and locking its knowledge away for all time. What is your center? King Basso is no small standing. He takes it upon himself to have Department of Information burdened with the matters of secrecy and lore. We send her into conquered lands and returns with armloads of scrolls, as per our usual. Let me think about this. I'm saving for now, but I don't know, I just kind of can't really get into streaming as much this time. I think I might actually just stop for now. I wanted to stream earlier in the day, but now I can't really get into it. I want to thank anybody here for watching. Maybe next time will be longer. I'm going to give a host to, let's see. Give a host to Elder Warjoyzy, who's playing Crusaders Kings 2. It's going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass to type out. Yeah, I don't know if that worked or not, because for some reason the little raid icon isn't appearing on my phone. Well, it should be working. I don't even see it on my laptop, because I'll just go host them.